Good morning.
Good morning.
Bonjour. Buongiorno. Buongiorno. I would like to thank all of you for coming today. I'm pleased that we could spend some time together. And I also want to thank Patricia and Paul because they have worked very hard to get this all put together. It wasn't a simple task. When something looks very simple and elegant, that means that there's a whole lot behind it. So thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I would like to ask you, have you ever seen a large group of musicians on a stage, and in the middle of them was somebody standing in a box, waving around a white stick, and maybe you're wondering what on earth is going on. So together we're going to discover today what is going on. In this presentation, How to Conduct an Orchestra, each of you are going to be transitioned from being audience members to orchestral musicians. And that's why you're seated where you are. So we will all experience firsthand the role of the conductor and the interaction they have with you as musicians. I'd like to start with an experiment, please. So as my hand goes up, I'd like you to think inside your brain. Breathe. And when my hand comes down, I would like you to clap. I'm not going to tell you where to clap or when to clap. You make a judgment, and there's no wrong move. So we go up, breathe, down, and clap. So think inside, breathe. Very good. Congratulations, you are now all members of the Ergo. The Ergo Grand Regional Orchestra. Well done. Thank you very much. How is it that you did so well?
Instructions.
Instruction?
Clear instruction.
Okay. Any other reason why you did so well?
Practice. We were watching.
You were watching you.
We were very
Crowd
bright.
as well. I followed the crowd as well. It's like, oh, what's everybody else doing as well? And then we just followed your baton.
Excellent, excellent. When I put my hand up, that's called a cue. And a cue is simply an invitation to participate. So I cued you, and you participated. This is something you do every day, all day long. You cue people, and people cue you. If I walk into a room, and I see somebody new, and I give a smile, that's a cue for them to smile. If I'm driving down the road in France and I see somebody that's over here that needs to enter traffic, very often I'll gesture. What do? That's right, they go into the traffic. So when an orchestra conductor gives a cue, whether you know it or not, you know it. It's just simply an invitation to participate. But of course, this waving the stick around is just the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot involved in what I have to do to be able to stand here today. So on my music stand, for example, I have a piece by Stravinsky. So the first thing I really want to do is get to know who on earth is Stravinsky. Where was he born? Why did he migrate from his homeland? Why was it that World War I and the Bolshevik Revolution made him leave his homeland and understand he could never return again? Does any of this sound familiar today? So I'm going to take this information that I found out about him and I apply it to my life today, and it informs me, who is this person? How do they think? Here's a very sad man who knew he couldn't go back, but he wrote this piece of music which begins with a folk-tuned lullaby, a children's lullaby. Knowing this little bit about him, how did he feel putting that lullaby in the music? So the first thing is, who is the conductor? I want to know as much as possible. The next thing I want to know is I want to study the piece of music that I have in front of me. How do I do that? This is called the Rite of Spring. What is it in French?
partition.
The rate of spring.
Ah,
The sacrament.
partition.
So I'm gonna, this is called a score, and this is what I look at when I conduct, and it's everybody's parts all at once. So what I do is I take your part, and I look at your first few notes, and I play it on the piano until I memorize it, and then I write it down. And then I move forward. What is your part? I play it at the piano till it's memorized, then I write it down. How long does it take for me to do that? I'm sorry?
It depends on the number of musicians you want to be.
Yes, that's very true. It depends on the number of musicians, number one. It depends on how long the music is. This could take 80 hours. This could take 100 hours to do this. And this is one of 4 pieces on a concert, right? So we have some time involved here. The next thing I do as a conductor is I'm going to learn to play an instrument. I started playing the piano when I was 6, and I hated it. I was a very busy little girl. I had to be outside playing with butterflies, chasing the puppies, riding the ponies. I did not want to sit on the piano bench and practice the piano. But my mom wanted me to play the piano, so there you have it. At about the age of 10, I started to play the trumpet. That went a whole lot better. I really, really liked the trumpet. Then I started to play the saxophone. And along my studies at university and conservatory, whatever, I decided I'm going to learn to play every instrument in the orchestra. I didn't say well, but I learned to play. How can I understand you if I don't know what you do? How can I have empathy for you if I don't know how hard you worked to get there? So that's another thing I did. I learned to play all the different orchestras, all the different instruments in the orchestra. I also studied history, music history, theory, physics of sound, acoustics, all these little esoteric things that all informed me how to put an orchestra together. And I also studied body language. As an orchestra, in a rehearsal or in a concert, I don't use words. That's why standing up here talking is kind of traumatic, because I have to find words. Well, that's not what I've been doing for 40 years. I've been using just my body to ask you what to do. So one of the interesting things about body language that we start with is there's a wonderful TED Talk called "It's All in the Palm of Your Hand." And it goes something like this. Let's pretend that I want you to move over here. I want you to move over here. I want you to move over here. And I want you to move over here. What does this gesture say to you? Any ideas? Okay, it identifies a person in place. Excellent. What else does this say? How does this feel? Do you have any feelings towards this gesture?
It's a stop. It's a block.
It's a stop, it's a block. Not a great gesture if I really want you to participate. Please participate. It doesn't work really well. Right? Here's a second example. I want you to move over here. I want you to move back there. I'd like you to move over here. And I want you to move over there. No. What are you feeling? Like I'm accusing you of something. Not a great gesture. That brings me to the third one, which we already know. I would like you to move over here. You to move over here. You to move over here. And you to move over here.
But this is cultural also. I mean, maybe this in another country means I love you, and this means you better do the homework or something.
This is a very good point. It's also cultural. It's also cultural. So I have to figure out where I'm going next. And if I'm going to Japan, I don't want to do this to a Japanese person.
You don't come too close to me.
And I don't step, yes, and I don't come right,
Yeah.
right? So I have to know also the culture of the orchestra that I'm working on. Thank you very much. Absolutely true. Absolutely true. So this is our next time for our next experiment. And I want us to all sing row, row, row your boat together, and I'm going to give you a cue when to start, and this is our very first note, and I'd like you to understand a little bit about the body language that I'm using if you'd like to hum. Remember, when I go up, we breathe. When I come down, we begin row. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream. I think we can do it a little louder. If I change my body posture, maybe that will help.
Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream.
Great. Now, this is the third time, third example. Let's see if this has an effect on you.
Gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream.
Do you ever talk to people like that? You ever meet people like that? This is also cultural. But it doesn't work really well with us today. So how I use my body, the gestures that I use, you're going to feel something. The catch is you're already busy playing your music. So I don't want to impose on you the wrong feeling. I don't want to make you anxious. And like you said earlier, this might be a good posture for some people, but you also see conductors doing this. They step right into your space. Doesn't always work. Okay? This was a very good beginning. However, orchestras do not play in unison. What we did today was unison, everybody doing the same thing at the same time. We have different music for different people. In the orchestra, we have 4 main groups of people, 4 different cultures, 4 different ways of approaching music, 4 different ways of producing sound. In an orchestra or with musicians, you will never hear people use the word team. For an orchestra or musicians, we use the word ensemble. What is the difference? Well, let's start with the similarities. A team and an ensemble are groups of people, right? With a team and an ensemble, everybody has a specific role to make it a whole, make it together, to make it work. That's the end of the similarity. The team is exclusive, an ensemble is inclusive. What does that mean? If I belong to a team, exclusive team, I belong to that team. I don't go with other teams. Do you remember a couple of years ago the French national soccer club got right to the finals with Italy, and there was a wonderful player called Zidane? Does anybody remember Zidane? Wow. Yeah. Mr. Headbutt. Zidane was a wonderful player for the French team. So if he's playing for the French team on Wednesday, he does not go play for the Italian team on Saturday. It's not done. The difference with an ensemble is that, yes, I belong to my group, but sometimes I'm going to go be a part of your group. And sometimes I'm going to go be a part of your group. And somebody from your group is going to come be a part of my group. It's fluid. I can come and go. With a team, there are inherent winners and losers. With an ensemble, there are no losers, everybody's a winner. We don't use the winner-loser paradigm at all. Teams have coaches. I'm going to tell you what to do, when to do, how to do it. Here's the play, this is how we're going to do it. So there's always somebody on top of them telling them what to do. Ensembles do not have coaches. We coach ourselves. Each musician sits in a practice room for hours and hours and hours. There's some research that said you need 10,000 hours of practice to play your instrument. Don't know if it's true, but it sure felt like it. So yes, I do all my work at home, and then when I get together with my group, nobody tells me what to do or how to do it. I already know. I coach myself. So with teams, there's an intuitive gap. You're on your team, I'm on my team. With ensembles, there's no gap. It's all connected. You connect with this group, you connect with this group, you connect with this group, and it's infinite. How do you live your day? Do you work in groups? Do any of you work in groups of people? Yeah? Yeah? Are the groups of people more an ensemble or a team? You're more an ensemble? Yeah? Ensemble. Anybody, nobody else works in teams?
Team.
Robert? It's a team. So this is a little something for you to think about. In your life, how do you work together with people, and what would you like it to look like?
Cindy, I have a question.
Yes, Jill?
In an ensemble, excuse me, if somebody's not pulling their weight because they've been practicing in their corner, how does that, do people do anything about it? Do they just invite them to leave the ensemble, or do they coach them to be better, or?
I would never say to you, you're not pulling your weight. You know why? Because you already know it.
Okay.
You already know it. So why do I want to add insult to injury?
Do they kind of excuse themselves? They would leave the ensemble?
Well, they're going to sit there in the rehearsal, they're going to finish the rehearsal, and then what will they do? They will go home and they will practice. Because everybody in the orchestra really does want to do a good job. They're there to make art, for goodness sake. Wow. I'd like to do a good job. I spoke with a friend of mine last week. She's an oboist in quite an important orchestra in Michigan. And they did a piano concerto. She said, oh my God, there's this one melody lick that's 23 notes and it was just impossible. They just did it this month. She started practicing in June for 23 notes. For 23 notes. Now, if she made a mistake after practicing that long, how would it feel if I'm telling her, oh, you missed the B flat? She knows it. Ignore it. And if you stomp your feet, or if I react to it, it doesn't help. Everybody knows it too. You're already embarrassed. So thank you for that question. Appreciate it. So as a conductor, I begin with the knowledge that all of these diverse cultures and attitudes are connected. I know that they are connected. And like I said, although everybody's time is spent alone, practicing by themselves, my job is to help us find our connections, our harmonies, partnerships, and the way we are in tune with each other. So what does an orchestra of 100 people do to make sure that we're all in agreement? We always begin a rehearsal and a concert by tuning every single instrument to the pitch A440 hertz. We begin with exactly the same pitch. Then we have a nice foundation, a nice anchor for agreement. So to try to understand what a common foundation feels like, I have our next experiment for us. Together we create unity in the physics of synchronized vibrations. So Albert Einstein said that all of life is vibration. That means as you're sitting there, you're vibrating. You might not know it, but you are. And as you sit there, you vibrate the chair vibrates the floor vibrates the walls. And if I raise my voice, I can vibrate the entire room. So, entrainment is when two vibrating entities synchronize their vibrations. So let's do this right now, together. Let's synchronize our heartbeats. First question, do you know how to take your pulse? Yeah? Does everybody know how to take your pulse? Put it right here on your arteries. And you can feel your heartbeat. Can you feel it? So I'm going to ask us, we're going to clap for about 30 seconds together. You can stand if you want. If you're getting tired because it's a very warm room and you'd like to stand, that's great. If you're not, stay seated. Don't worry. Oh, bless you. We're going to clap together. And keep going fast. And you go everybody's pulse the same as what it clapped? Anybody else? Yes. So if your pulse is the same as your clapping, and your pulse is the same as your clapping, and your clapping work together, you have synchronized heartbeats. I read an article about a month ago. Science has shown that in an orchestra concert, audiences can synchronize their heartbeats. Thank you very much. I knew that 40 years ago. And a friend of mine last week sent me an article and said, oh, read this article. It's really very interesting about how people in orchestra concerts can synchronize their heartbeats. Thank you, Ella. Or synchronicity.
It's really interesting too how when women live together, their periods
Synchronize.
as well.
Yep. We can be synchronized in extraordinary ways. We may not even know it. We live in a world today that's kind of complicated, and if we all listen to the same news, we kind of synchronize to the news.
When you've been living for a long, long time and you finish sentences and things like this.
Although they hate it, it's true. It happens. Yes, because you're synchronized. You can finish a sentence.
Your thoughts are going in the same direction, or
Yes.
looking at the same thing
Yes.
at the same time.
Yes. That can be a very good thing or not a very good thing. Or maybe not so much. In an orchestra, and also in life, we can be completely unified. In these four diverse cultures within the orchestra, each culture has their own way of producing sound, collaborating together, their own approach to artistry, and working within itself and with others. So the four orchestras, cultures, the four orchestra groups, the four orchestra sections, and this is why I've asked you to sit where you are today. The first section is called the string section, and they get their name because they pull a bow across the string, or they pluck a string, and the string makes a vibration, which vibrates the instrument, and voila, you have sound. So in the string section, you have first violins, second violins, violas, cello, and double basses. What do they do? Each of these groups that I just mentioned, your job, your goal is to be exactly like the other person in your group. You have the same bowings as the other people. You want to be exactly like the people in your section. So what is your artistry? Your artistry is community, it's togetherness. I am in awe of your artistry, your approach to music. So I'm going to ask today that we start understanding a little bit more deeply what it is that we do. Do you remember we just sang Row, Row, Row Your Boat? So I'm going to ask the first violins to begin when I cue you, and the second violins to begin when I cue you. It's row, row, row your boat. Yeah. Ready? Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream. Now I see some of you participating, but I don't see that written in your part. You only get to do one part. Now, how do they do? I think it's pretty good for a first time around. Yeah, I'd like it a little bit louder. Once more time. Row. Ready? Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream. Okay, violas look like violins, except they're bigger. Okay? So violas, your part is boom, boom.
That's rich.
Yes, ready? Boom, boom. Great. Cellos look like very large violas, and their part is boom, boom. Ready? Boom, boom. Double basses look like cellos, only they're just enormous. And your part is, yes, boom, boom. Okay? One after the other. Let's give it a try. Boom, 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 boom. And after we have the three boom booms, everybody goes boom, 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 boom. Okay? Give it a try. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. And we're going to put all the strings together. I will cue you when you come home. Row, 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 row your boat gently down the stream. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 boom, down the stream. Merrily, merrily, merrily. Life is but a dream. Great. So you're only going to sing it once, and then you stop. You sing it twice beautifully. I hate to stop you. Great. What did it? How was it? It was fabulous. Yay! Well done. Well then, the second section of the orchestra is called woodwinds. You get your name because you all used to be made out of wood. Not anymore. The flute is now made of metal. You don't work in community. Each woodwind player is a soloist. Nobody has what they have when they have it. They do their own thing. Okay? Here's something really fascinating about woodwinds. I think it's fascinating. 3 out of the 4 of them use something called a reed. They blow air on the reed, which is attached to their instrument. It makes their instrument vibrate, and that makes sound. Here's the catch about the reed. It doesn't live very long. You can play it for a day or two, then it doesn't work anymore, or it breaks. It's very frail. Why did you spend 10,000 hours learning to play your instrument, and then you're reliant on this silly thing that could break at any time? Do you understand how this can influence your perspective? So the artistry of the woodwinds is practice, your skill set, but also it's about persistence in the face of external pressure, external adversity. I admire what you do. So since you are all soloists, if you don't mind, we're going to start a little. Who had if you're happy and you know, happy and you know, okay? Can we sing it together? Happy, happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, then your life will surely show it. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. Now in an orchestra rehearsal, we don't clap for soloists. What we do is we shuffle our feet. If we like that, what they do, we shuffle our feet. Okay. Liz, what part do you have? Twinkle. Okay. Twinkle, twinkle.
Twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Up above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky.
A little faster.
Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are.
Yay.
Frère Jacques, frère.
Once more, a little faster. Just a
Faster,
little bit
okay.
faster. Ready? And
Frère Jacques, frère Jacques, dormez-vous, dormez-vous. Sonne les matines, ding dong, ding dong.
And the last one is. Which is yours?
Head, shoulders.
Oh, head, shoulders, knees, and. Ready? Head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. Head, shoulders, knees and toes. Eyes and ears and mouth and nose. Head, shoulders, knees, and toes. Yeehaw! Yeehaw is awesome. All of you together.
Frère Jacques, dormez-vous, sonnez matine,
Twinkle, little star. Great. Would you like to have another go with that? Okay. Be ready, because we're going to start with the strings again, too. Just a minute. And
Frère Jacques, dormez-vous, sonnez matine,
gently down the stream.
Frère Jacques,
Gently down the stream.
sonnez matine,
Life is but a
ding dong dong.
Yay! You're awesome. I don't know about
If
you.
we say it ourselves, right?
The third section that we have is a brass section. And they get their name from the fact that their instruments are all made of metal. So we have the French horn, trumpet, trombone, and tuba. They are also soloists. Nobody plays their part when they have their part. They're reliant, just like the woodwinds are, on themselves. So here's kind of interesting about the brass instruments. They use valves or rotors. And let's say I put my first finger down on a valve, that makes my instrument longer, and that changes the pitch. Or if I'm a trombone player, I have a slide, and as I make my instrument longer, it makes it a lower sound, which makes it a shorter, a higher pitch. Okay? Here's the catch with you guys. If I put my finger down, or put my trombone in fifth position, I can play 3, 4, 5 different pitches with that. If I'm a French horn, I can play 8 different pitches just with the same finger down. If I'm a violinist, I put my finger down, I get that pitch. If I'm a flute player, I put my finger down, I get that pitch. Not true with you guys. So how on earth do they get the right pitch? The embouchure. So the embouchure is a little teeny tiny part of your mouth. Your lips, you have to train your lips. You have to train your lips to be very specific so that I know if I have this certain embouchure, I put down this finger, I get this note. What is your artistry? It's your skill set, of course, but it's enormous self-confidence and self-esteem. If you don't have self-confidence as a horn player, you're in trouble. I'm in awe of your artistry. Really amazing. So, we have parts to play for you as well. The French horn player gets jingle bells. Jingle, jingle bells, jingle bells. That's all you get. Well done. But that's all you get. Then the next one gets jingle all the way.
Jingle all the way.
Perfect. Then the next is, oh, what fun it is to ride. Oh, what fun it is to ride. That's all you get. In a one-horse open sleigh. Then all 4 of you at the end go, hey. Okay, you're relying on each other to keep going, just like our low strings did. So jingle bells, jingle bells, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Hey! Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Hey! Pretty good. Pretty good. Thank you. And our last section today, is the percussion section. Percussionists learn to play lots of different instruments. You're also soloists, But they don't play just the violin. They don't play just one instrument. They play the cymbals, they play the snare drum, they play the triangle, they play the xylophone, on and on and on and on. So you have to know everything about everything. Here's a tip about the mentality of percussionists. They hit things for a living. That pretty much tells you all you need to know about a percussionist. So I would like you to be a snare drummer. And when I cue you, your part is rat-tat, rat-tat, rat-tat-tat. Can you roll your R's?
No.
I still can't. Then you go rat-tat, rat-tat, tat-tat. Ready?
Rat-a-tat, rat-a-tat, rat-a-tat.
Okay, now that's not quite the mentality of a percussionist.
Rat-a-tat, rat-a-tat, rat-a-tat.
Yay! Very nice, very nice. So let's get the whole thing together, shall we? Just be ready at any time.
Rat-a-tat, rat-a-tat, rat-a-tat.
Boom,
Boom, boom, boom, boom, boom.
row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, merrily, merrily your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, shout, merrily, merrily, shout. Jingle bells, jingle bells,
Do,
way.
sol, mi, fa, mi, sol, mi, fa, mi,
Jingle bells, jingle bells, row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Hey!
Rat-a-tat, rat-a-tat, rat-a-tat.
Yay! You guys are awesome. So today we had 3 main goals to look at. First was cue, which is simply just an invitation to participate. You do it all day, every day. The second is collaborate. How do we work together in groups? Are you a team member or are you an ensemble member? And the third was how do we connect? Entrainment. How do we connect? So you see, the orchestra is simply a metaphor for what we do anyway in life. And I would like to thank you all for your participation. Again, I want to thank Patricia and Paul for everything you do for this group. And I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Cindy, a really big thank you. What a great experience. Do we have any questions?
Yes, ma'am.
The first time I went to a concert, I was a child, and I was impressed, of course. And my thought at the moment was that the musician played their own instrument, and the director played the orchestra like it was an instrument. Does it make any sense? Thank you, but why?
Because my job is to put it all together. If I can ignite your imagination and unite everybody's creativity, my job is done. The conductor plays the orchestra.
Oh, geez, super fine.
It's absolutely right. So Ava, what you thought as a child, you had it right.
Okay.
Bravo.
The difficulty for me was the thing that we were looking at you but not at each other. So for me it was difficult to what do you say to
Connect.
connect with my partners behind, because I think this visual thing is so much part of the direction, and it was, so probably I connect with them through you, but this is I'm not used to it, so it was
It's very difficult because in an orchestra you can't see behind you. And it's also very difficult to hear behind you. So that's how I want to help you. Yes, they have their part, and then I help you join in their part. So whatever you can't see or can't hear, I'm going to help you make that connection.
What's it like for you as a conductor when you've got a whole audience behind you and you can't see their reaction to what you're doing or what your orchestra's doing?
Honestly, not interested. My interest is here. I'm with Stravinsky. Oh my God, does it get any better than that? And if you like it, I'm very happy. Yay.
If you don't, go home.
Yeah, but that's not where I am.
I just wanted to say for me, one of the fascinating parts was how you dissected every single instrument, how they played it, what was required of each person, and then watch them pull it all together. And you're right, focus has to be on you, can't be behind people.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, thank you.
It's just fascinating.
Thank you. And if you've ever gone to a concert, you'll see that the musicians are looking at their music. Well, how can they follow a conductor if they're looking at their music? I can see Robert very well. I can see Ella just fine. I can see Liz. I can see Lily, even though I'm looking at it. It's peripheral vision. Yes, ma'am.
My musical background is limited to Happy Birthday and summer camp songs. So
Congratulations.
this was incredibly enlightening and delightful for me. But I wondered at the end, can you actually hear all the different songs that everyone's singing, or are you just kind of leaving them and trusting them?
You can hear it all.
So you have so many songs at once in your head.
Yeah.
They're organized.
Practice, 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 practice. What?
Can I,
Yes.
you said that you had to learn every instrument.
Yes.
Did you at that point decide you wanted to become a conductor?
Yeah.
That was it?
Yeah.
What was the most difficult of the instruments?
The orchestra.
Cindy, how old were you when you decided that?
When I wanted to be a conductor, 18.
Wow.
How is it to be a woman conductor?
Basically, that was my question.
No, that's my question.
I decided at 18, but I didn't tell anybody for about 10 years because at that time, girls didn't conduct orchestras. And if you want to know what it's like to be a woman conductor, let's have a coffee and we'll talk.
I know you didn't like tar, but the new Leonard, the movie about Leonard
Maestro.
is coming in.
Yeah.
Is it released yet? Are you?
I don't think it's released yet, but I'm going.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew the guy.
Yeah. I don't know anything about him, so I don't know what the flavor of this movie is. Was he a difficult person?
Difficult? No, not at all. A genius teacher, a fabulous conductor. He had his eccentricities. We would have lessons in the afternoon, and he had this great big tumbler. He said it was iced tea. It was no way that. By the end of the lesson, he was kind of fabulous man, great teacher.
Yes, not exactly a question, but it just triggered something for me. So when I facilitate workshops with teams, I have this little game about, it doesn't matter what the game is, but the intention of the game, is, the learning from it, is to focus on what you're doing and do that well, and not what everyone else in the circle is doing. And I just got that lesson as well, you know, when you said everyone just needs to look at you and focus on what they're doing in their music and not worry about what everyone else is
But it's
doing.
also the relationship.
Yeah.
It's also the relationship. How do I fit in? How do I fit in with you? Because in any kind of group, we have our roles to play.
Absolutely.
And we don't know what role it is until we know what it is in relationship to you.
Yeah, true.
What happens when you have a guest soloist like a piano or a violin? Because it's off to the side, you can't see it with your peripheral vision. And how are you making the orchestra play with that person?
Great question. How do I have an orchestra play with a soloist? If you're a piano soloist, I'm so short that I can't even see your keyboard. Yeah? And the lid is open to send the sound out to the audience, so I can't hear you very well. So I back up, and I put the back of my knee under the piano, on the keyboard, and I feel where you are. Otherwise, I can't hear you, and I can't see you. But you always get together with the soloist beforehand to run through, how would you like this, how do you want this to be, how do you want to put that together. So you pretty much know each other.
I think you told the story about having to go in cold with an orchestra one time. How did you manage that?
Oh, that was fun. I worked with an orchestra in Sofia, Bulgaria. Not all of us spoke English, but it didn't matter. Because, yeah, it's just the music. You don't need the words anyway. I didn't get a rehearsal with them before we made our video. So I walked on stage, and the first time I did this was the first time they saw me. It was fabulous. Were they panicked? You betcha. You were right there. It was a wonderful, wonderful experience. But I mean, these are professional orchestras, and they have a different conductor every week anyway, so they have to adapt immediately. Yes,
Do different conductors have different styles?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Because you and I are different human beings. We can walk down the street, but we don't walk the same way. So I have to do things according to who I am physically, and who I am, and you have to do things according to who you are. So people look at things completely differently.
So would not the orchestra members be confused then?
Nope. They adapt. We have a couple of rules that we follow and that they know. And then there's all kind of adaptations in the middle, but the architecture is the same. What I'm doing and what you're doing.
I'm very impressed about reading music for the conductor, because reading music for us ordinary people, I would say, it's already quite not easy, or it can be, it depends on the studies we have. But on your part, you have all the instruments on the same page, and that's for us, it's something completely incredible. So impressive, and I don't know the word in English to say that exactly, but and how can you learn all parts? Because when I don't know about you, but I'm sure you know nearly by heart the Sacre du Printemps or another piece, and how can you learn by heart all those things for each instrument?
It takes a lot of repetition.
Yeah. Sure.
Playing the piano, write it down. And when I write it down, I have it kinesthetically. If I'm playing it, I have it kinesthetically and orally. When I write it down, I have it kinesthetically. And then I have a photographic memory of how it all fits together. If you're a musician, you have one line of music. And then you go to the next line and you read the next line of music. And then you read the next. As a conductor, we don't read that way. I read this way. I read all the way from the top to the bottom, all the way to the top to the bottom, all the way to the top to the bottom. So these 2 pages take a couple of seconds.
You have a special brain.
You have a special brain. We all do.
Yeah, yes.
We do different things. I'm sure that you do things that just blow my mind. I have no idea how you do that. Everybody's like that.
Impressive.
Did you know that was involved? What came first? I mean, did you decide to become a conductor and then you saw what was involved?
Well, you keep learning and learning and learning. The way I wanted to be a conductor, we had a conducting class. We each had to write a little piece of music. So you got up and you conducted your piece of music, and then you sat down, and then you got up and you conducted your piece of music. Just must have been really obnoxious looking back. But I would say, "Can I conduct her piece of music, please?" And I would get up by memory and conduct her piece of music. That was fun.
What have you found most frustrating or disappointing in your career?
Certainly not the orchestra, because the orchestra always wants to do their best. One of the most frustrating things is we had a meeting the other day, and Cheryl Sanborn said, "Sit at the table." When you're a CEO, sit at the table. And my point is, I have to be invited in the room. So that's what the most frustrating thing is. The orchestras are always fabulous. It's the management who thinks. I'm here for 20 years. Once in 20 years, the Nice Symphony has had a female conductor. Once in 20 years, the Monte Carlo Philharmonic has had a woman conductor. I'm going to stop this discussion because it will get out of hand very quickly. I'd like to leave on a happy note. Thank you very much.